Hello everybody, we're back. My wife's camera is off, so we're all in the wrong place, but I didn't want a bunch of dead air, so we're back, and we're dancing, and we're doing hand things, nice. Oh, there we go, there we go, there we go, there we go, there we go.
Don't make me get up and floss.
I will not make you do that.
You can call me Backpack Dad.
How much money do I need to give to the stream for
I
Vegas to floss on camera?
I am actually incapable of flossing.
It's true.
So.
We can work on it. Do like lessons.
My daughters have tried.
Oh, I believe they would.
Yeah, no. There are a number of TikTok dances that I can do. Huh. I cannot floss to save my life.
Have you learned Space Girl? You should learn Space Girl.
There's a number of TikTok dances that I can do that I don't know the names of, so that may be one of them.
Amazing.
Hi, Jakin. How are you this week?
It's,
regretting everything.
It's a week like any other. Take that as you will. This whole flossing thing really derailed me. I'm at a complete and utter loss.
So last session.
There we go. Take it away.
Oh, I wasn't gonna actually.
Nope, you're up.
I don't remember every detail.
Foisted by your own petard.
I really did. I was trying to prompt Jakin so he remember where he was.
Oh, I remembered, but now you're up.
But okay, I don't really remember. Other than we arrived, we did some work to set Kibby up as a new figurehead on the planet. Oh, I just blanked. It's not Inzod. We were just on Inzod and we came
Helgurg.
to Helgurg. Ahaha. And then that's right. We eventually were able to speak with some folks from the Sphere Mandate, which is where we heard about a progenitor. So
before that, you broke into a government facility and turned off a nano weapon.
Yes. So we broke into the facility, turned off the nano weapon. My neighbors were playing incredibly loud ranchero. And then
it's the only volume ranchero can be played at.
Honestly,
that particular song slaps.
I mean, it's a good one, but it is incredibly distracting. After that point, also the thing in the turning off the nano weapons involved this obnoxious scientist, so we blew that room up. But we did solve the problem, convinced the Xolvi that we could turn it back on, but they had come down and beat the shit out of Kibby and her brother and put explosives in them.
That was very rude.
It
like
was
straight Suicide Squad style explosives, in the neck.
Yeah. So we talked them into not doing that, but there was a gentleman there. Gentleman's a nice word. There was some asshole there who was
Wait, he's Xolvi. That does not go without saying.
Yeah, and so he was calling
I mean, given the genes he came from.
Dang.
He was calling Irene progenitor, and we were all like, huh, that's strange. Isn't Irene a child? And not literally, but but he seemed to be about the same age, if not a little bit younger. So that was weird. And he was all like, I can offer you this. And we were like, actually, we want to talk to the captain. So now we are on a vessel on the way to speak to the captain of the control carrier.
Captain Kremenov. And
that was good for not remembering
anything. Irene referred to the asshole, as we're calling him, as her son, and he was like, no, we don't use that word for this relationship we have.
And she was like, I know.
And then he being called her son was insulting to him, so he insulted her right back, and that was where we ended the session.
What was the insult he gave to her, by the way?
That he was bred better, basically.
Oh, yeah.
that clearly Irene's genes were inferior, and he was insinuating that he was happy he got other genes from elsewhere.
Yeah. Okay.
That whole eugenics thing sure is strange, huh?
And
the entire civilization run on eugenics.
Yeah, I know.
As we open, Irene is punching this motherfucker in the throat repeatedly.
Oh.
Well, you can't, because you're like strapped in, and you guys are breaking atmosphere, so you can.
Psychokinesis is a thing.
Jesus.
Okay, I mean, if you want to escalate things right out of the gate, let's go. Let's go.
No.
Murderable time.
No. It's just someone clearly and incorrectly accused Irene of imperfection.
Right, yeah, which is intolerable, really. Okay. So, your assault craft, as you're flying up, after that spat between progenitor and progeny, it's a silent ride the rest of the way. Eventually, your assault craft, you can hear outside, because there's the only window is in the cockpit, which is actually closed off from the back. So it's been a dark ride where you just kind of feel the shifts of the artificial gravity responding to movement and fluctuations in power output. And eventually you guys dock. You can feel you guys kind of land as the much stronger artificial gravity of the control carrier kind of presses down on you a little harder. Just for the moment you kind of touch the surface. And the doors open. And the exactos, the extra activity operators, they open the door and they kind of file out before letting everyone else out, which includes the cohort, who we still haven't asked his name, but Irene knows it. And yeah, the cohort and the four of you disembark, and you are inside this just outrageously large hangar. This hangar has collapsible tiers that kind of move laterally and collapse back. What this bay is a it's the landing bay and maintenance bay for all incoming craft into the control carrier. This bay is probably 1/5 of its mass, so it is like so big you can barely see the ends on either side. And it's bustling with maintenance crews and their small craft being worked on and regularly scheduled maintenance. No one's in a hurry. Everything seems really mechanical in the way people are moving and what they're doing. Everything's on a schedule. Everyone not only knows what they're doing, but they have literally been bred from conception to do what they're doing right now.
So it's got really strong, like, Zemyatin vibes.
Yes. What's that? Okay,
He's a Soviet-Russian author.
Oh, okay. The cohort and his exactos lead you to a large freight elevator, which will take you straight to wherever you're going to be meeting the captain. Does the silence persist?
I think I would try to, like, grab Irene for a moment, if only to, like, if the facade is like, oh, so do you know this guy? Like, not the progeny, but the captain himself, like, oh, do you know this guy? But actually, like, trying to profile the guy because we're about to enter into a conversation with him.
Okay.
And Irene asked me specifically to, like, trust her to have the conversations, so I want to get an idea of what he's like.
Specifically to trust Irene if she has to interject and take over.
If she has to take over. So I want to go ahead and get, like, a profile on the man before we get there.
Well, I described last week what Irene knows, and I assume Irene will, like, probably haphazardly get this worked in. because it's Irene.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Captain Kremenov is a loyal officer. He's very astute, stoic, but he holds to his assignment with vigor. So if he's told to protect this planet, he'll protect it to the end. But in battle, he is known to have a brutal streak.
All right.
He's a hard man.
That's all right.
And I recall a reputation, like you said, he holds to his orders, but not just orders. He has a reputation for being, outside of battle, remarkably honorable.
Yes, he's a man of honor. So if he gives you his word, you can count on it.
Yeah, and Irene will essentially, as Jacob mentioned, haphazardly let all of that out, and basically say that she never met the man personally, but had. I mean, he has a reputation, and that Mother trusted him implicitly.
Good to know. I just wanted like an in-game reason to know those things.
Okay. While you guys are talking, the cohort kind of like pulls off this coif that he wears that has the mask that comes up. He kind of takes it all off, and he folds the coif into the mask, and then like clasps it to his left pauldron, and kind of the face just kind of hangs there. And that basically he's going into like a non-combat attire, which is just taking off the helmet, which conceals his identity and protects his face. Irene would know that chrome blue mask is armor. Yeah.
Yeah. All good.
Some of the best armor in the galaxy at that.
Probably.
May I? So I'm going to do this a couple of times, but I want to, before we get there, get an empathy kind of read on the cohort.
Okay.
And then whenever we do get there, do a similar read on the captain. I'm not great at empathy, but I figure it's something I could try.
Yeah, go for it.
Irene?
So first for the cohort.
Are there any specific mannerism we need to have in front of the commander? You know, the types of polite things such as bowing, not looking directly into his eyes, or anything special like this?
I do know their salute, I would imagine, because the Sphere Mandate's one of the cultures I'm specialized in.
Yeah,
civilians wouldn't salute a military man in general.
Yeah.
Again, this is important to know. Like, is it civilians, military, so on and so forth? Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I mean, honestly,
we're hardly.
Yeah, there's like little nuances and whatnot, that no one's gonna expect you guys to know. But beyond that, fuck this guy.
So typical.
Harping off of that, the cohort says some decorum would go a long way.
Oh yeah, we are a political envoy from Kibby, so I'm going to behave. Don't worry.
So the freight elevator opens, and it leads into this kind of steel-plated, almost reflective hallway, which has cropped corners on this rectangular hall. But the moment you step out of the freight elevator, you all are immediately hit by the smell. On most spaceships, you have this sterile, recycled air smell, where everything kind of smells like a hospital. But outside of the hangar and this elevator, which is a freight elevator that goes in the hangar, and Irene, this smell would immediately hit you and trigger some kind of memories of working on these ships in the past. Exalvi ships have as part of their air filtration system, a fragrance which has been known to enhance productivity among Exalvi. To everyone, it smells quite sharp, something you couldn't ignore, almost like like fresh pine, you know? Yeah. It has that kind of, so you're all like hit with it, and probably Elise more than anyone. Elise, give me an endurance check. I'm riffing.
Actually, as a medical professional, Rizik might be tempted to check the air content.
You want to bust out your medkit here in the hallway and pull out the tools to do
Well,
that?
I mean, just the table, just the tablet. See if the tablet picks up anything.
Okay. Well, you can roll science. You failed?
No.
Okay,
Yes.
Elise, your nose starts to sniffle. You may be allergic to this.
I got this.
There you go. Thank you for that. Never do it
Just
again.
gonna roll it.
Oh,
Oh
like
yeah, that's
cedar
valid.
pollen.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Just
Yes.
put-
I'm not,
oh my
I'm
god,
not
the
feeling good
Exalvi just
today,
put
so-
cedar in their AC supply. The worst. I
Those
hate them
bastards.
so much.
It's to prove how much superior they are to human. None of them have cedar fever.
None of them get
Yeah,
cedar.
that, and it's just a flex. It does nothing. It's just a cedar flex. No, but anyway.
They don't even get
It's the whole increased productivity is just a psychosomatic thing because
Yeah.
they're like,
Well, we're better
oh
than
yeah,
humans.
we're better.
So, Jaken, since I'm not looking for any specific data, the tablet probably just says like, don't worry, air is okay, you're good.
Yeah, you're good. All right, he leads you through the hall, maybe 20 meters, and then there's this large double door on your left, and he opens it and steps through, and it appears to be this conference room. Inside the conference room, the far wall is a video panel. The whole wall is a video panel of outside of the ship in that direction, but it isn't an actual window. It's just it's a video projection. So you can kind of make out one of the moons of Helgerg coming like in the distance on this view. The conference table seats probably about 30. Aside from the 5 of you, there are only 2 other people. One who sits at the far end at the seat, the head of the table, who by uniform and demeanor is very obviously Captain Kremenov. And another person wearing, your standard ship's fatigues, which is kind of that officerial, the white collar version of he's not wearing like a jumpsuit or anything. He's got the what do you the shoulders and
the lapels.
Yeah, the
and-
lapels and all that.
I was gonna say he's wearing a fucking khakis and a polo.
No, but he
He's got a clipboard and a ID lanyard.
yeah.
He's got a lanyard.
A lanyard. Well, they are Exalvi. Never mind. We're not surprised.
He's our activities director.
I just fucking caught up and I'm so mad with y'all. Not really, but the lanyard reference. Vegas,
That's going back a
did
ways.
you get to play in the lanyard reference?
Whoa. I helped establish the lanyard reference.
Because I knew you and New Guy were guests for that.
Yeah.
I was not there, but I think I saw that VOD.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that whole escapade that led into the lanyard reference began with the most professional character introduction in the history of TTRPGs.
Was that the lanyard? Was that when we got that guy?
Yep.
Okay, I believe you.
The unnamed Northman, yep.
The Northman who never introduced himself, yeah.
Yeah. He has a name. I know it. Jaken knows it.
Okay.
I was not interested in his name. 'Cause I wasn't gonna put up any
Kind
more
of like this
fucking barbed
cohort.
wire.
Fucking fences. Anywho, Captain Kremenov and our activities director.
That's a memory. Yeah. Irene, you recognize that he's probably a lieutenant or lieutenant commander, and the captain has the rank of commodore, but since he's captaining a ship, he goes by Captain Kremenov. Any captain of a control carrier would have some kind of admiralty rank because they are actually in charge of the entire fleet that's housed inside the control carrier. For his part, Kremenov will stand up when you guys enter and gesture for all of you to take a seat. You guys all sit on one side, or you go 2 and 2?
Let's 2 and 2 it.
Okay. Well, Irene doesn't sit.
Starting the meeting well.
I want to
And the cohort
try
will
to get a
stand
read on him.
beside and behind Irene.
I want to make an attempt. I didn't get the read on the cohort, but I'm going to make an attempt on Captain.
Go for it.
That
14?
is an average, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. You sense some cues that you recognize from Irene as an Exalva. You kind of pick up on these. There is a hint of like the kind of excitement you get when Irene is learning something new or working with one of her new inventions. There's just kind of like that simmering energy. But the main thing you see in his expression is that he seems quite irritated. You can surmise that he probably doesn't think this meeting is worth his time. He's an important man. Either way, he will wait for everyone to sit down, and when he's confident that Irene refuses, he will once again sit down.
Did we I don't we did like kind of show our whole hand in conversation with
The cohort.
the cohort as far as like we are offering the
Mm-hmm.
Tahanan and
1 out of 2, so we still have a second one we could pull
just
out.
one of the Tahanans, and also some intel on
Yeah, so a
Aldrin.
thin, long rectangle of the table in front of each of you, including where Irene would be sitting, and in front of the captain, kind of like slides away, and this clear panel rises up. It's kind of slightly angled back from the person looking at it, and then an opaque image that is completely see-through from any other angle other than looking at it straight on. Basically is an itemized list of everything you already promised.
Okay, cool. I was just making sure, like, on my end that we'd already
Yeah.
conveyed
So this
all of it.
includes a Tahanan, information on the capabilities of the, and they use like, Citadel ships,
Mhm.
information on
Saldrin movement in the...
Saljosi Empire activities in the Wild Cluster.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything else I'm missing? Oh, and of course, like, what Helgurg will provide to the Sphere Mandate in terms of being away in exchange for autonomy and protection.
Yes. Cool. Then I'll go ahead and introduce myself, not just name wise, but also be like emissary for Kibby, who is the leader of the new government on Helgurg. They were founded specifically because they were in favor of working with you to establish an embassy and allow for staging for your activities in the Wild Cluster. But
Well,
because of the cohort's activities, she was unable to come meet with you here today.
I'm sure.
Side eye.
As I understand it, you are not the legitimate government. Instead, with the aid of my control carrier, you would become the legitimate government of Helgurg.
Out of character. Were we even expecting him to use his force to make them the legitimate government?
I think the cohort offered that because
Yes.
he was like, "You guys aren't in charge."
And they were like, we're practically in charge. All the
But
people
you
who are in
could
charge
be.
are locked in a building.
Yeah.
We could get some of our overzealous friends to just blow the building up. Problem solved.
Right.
Um, that was a offer on behalf of your cohort, but we also understand that that's a lot of work for y'all to take on as well. If it is what you're willing
You'd
to
be
do.
surprised how little resources it would cost me to take this planet.
And yet you haven't. That tells me that you're a respectable kind of person who's doing things by the book. You're really following proper protocol, giving people the opportunity, and we wanted to honor that as well. The honor that, well, I'm not going to say humanity, but um that sort of very rigorous appreciation for order.
Yes, and the situation we've had to date has been chaos.
Um and we'd like to see things resolved.
I too
Um
would like this put behind me.
Really, we just wanted to be able to speak with you because we felt that with the cohort in the room after Kibby's treatment, it might look a little more like coercion, and that's not necessarily above board. That's not really an honorable way to come up to an agreement. It would be easy for anyone of the common people to point and say, well, the sphere mandate um went and did the more Saldrin thing of going in and beating people up and making them sign the paper afterwards, and that's not really your MO. We'd like for the word to be that the system of Maurar and the planet of Helgurg were able to come to a diplomatic solution.
What we have here is a situation where two military operations have unfortunately collided unfavorably. My goal is to establish Helgurk as a resupply and defensible position for our operations ongoing in the Wild Cluster. Cohort
And
Tenik, his sole assignment is to retrieve this woman and the technology she possesses. Technically, the cohort is operating outside of my command structure, and so I cannot help your situation with how he treated your cohort, your comrade.
well, I understand that completely. I've actually done quite a bit of research on the work of the Sphere Mandate, as they are worth researching. I think anyone would agree. We saw the state of this control carrier. Um, it's an impressive ship, and it's run very, very well. It's really just we were concerned that from the outside, if we just agreed right out the bat, that it would look like we were the sphere mandate was taking advantage of the planet, when in fact the sphere mandate is protecting the planet from the Saldrosni Empire. So what we are offering is clearly written here on the table. If it were of interest to you, we could establish a full diplomatic embassy on the planet of Helgurg. They're just asking not to technically be a colony. So on paper, Helgurg is its own planet. They have their own government, but you have a place there. You can stage there. It's a defensible position. Everything else you could need is from there. You just don't have to feed the mouths, really.
The occupation of Helgurg is not of interest to me or my command. However, the planet is of vital importance one way or another. Included in these terms of installing your government in order to have a favorable position with your populace, we demand permission to establish a battle station in orbit of Helgurg.
That sounds agreeable.
It will, of course, be
Honestly,
used in the defense
preferable.
of the surface should it be required. Only against enemies of the Sphere Mandate, however. If any of the Wild Cluster factions get uppity we will consider it an internal matter as per your autonomy. Yes, as Rishin, what do you wish to add?
Just a question:
Hypox is like, go ahead.
would the resources required to build this space station come from the planet Helgerg itself? Are they to provide the resources, or would it come from an outside source?
My control carrier possesses half of what is needed. A second control carrier would arrive once we have gained favorable positioning here, and the construction would begin entirely independent of Helgrug's resources or manpower.
I mean, if you want something done right,
Exactly.
you have an Exalvi do it. That's the phrase, isn't it?
I'm not familiar with that phrase, but it is applicable.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the phrase.
All right, then yeah. I mean, Hyperwest was really just gonna try to skirt around the issue of Irene's independence, because that also means that the cohort doesn't really have full control over whatever's happening on this ship either. All I was trying to do is convey to this man that we wouldn't have had to come up here if your cohort hadn't been such an ass.
Right, and from what the captain, he hasn't even looked at the cohort once. He has mentioned that he belongs outside of his change of command, and so to him it's just like, that's another operation. I'm not worried about it. Whatever he does, I'm not even gonna write it in my report. Like
I'm just trying to
you're trying
redirect
to
his irritation,
sure, yeah.
because he is irritated.
You have offered information regarding a species known as the Tehanin, who pilot the Citadel ships, which the entire fighter expanse has seen reports by now. The incident at Yal and the unfortunate burning of Nakipi.
Mm-hmm. That is true. We have a Tahanan captive, and our doctor here, the Azretian, part of why he is here is because he has been working to decode their language. Well, he's not here anymore, but part of why he was here is he's been working to decode their language. Been an invaluable resource. Also, as a medical professional, he has found some interesting information on how they function, which might be of use to you.
Our spy network has been accruing every byte of data in regards to Irene's whereabouts and her activities. And it has come to our attention that she, as well as possibly all three of you, were aboard the science
Citadel?
vessel Androla.
Oh, we did also board the Citadel ship. Yes, sir. We may or may
you
not
aboard
have
the
been.
Citadel ship. Was it the Citadel ship of y'all?
We were
Well, it was
briefly-
not ours, no, just a joke.
We were briefly captured aboard a Citadel ship. We were able to
With
escape.
a stiff hand, he waves it over the desk, and a rectangle, long ways facing, perpendicular with his position, kind of moves aside to reveal a control panel, and he just presses a button, and the display that was the exterior view of the ship, or the exterior view out of the ship, I should say, now changes to recorded footage from one of their. They obviously had some kind of probe or satellite in y'all. And there are some enhanced images, so there's like pockets of distortion where the information got corrupted by enhancing it so much.
Mm-hmm.
But it's pretty obvious. I mean, you guys witnessed this.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Enhance.
I'm just so glad someone's enhance didn't automatically make it a perfectly clear photo.
I mean, it's pretty damn good. This is the heck of future.
Still space,
So yeah. I mean, this thing is probably a camera that's several AU away. So given that, it's a pretty damn good image.
Yeah, but at least there's some distortion.
Right. But it is the Citadel ship, and then the moment when half of
Shit hit the
y'all
fan.
and the Citadel ship basically vanish. And then the image just kind of freezes with the planet in twain, although only half of it remains, and the Citadel ship also, broken in half and fire.
Excellent use of the word in twain.
Yeah. And he says, Miss Marcos was a foremost weapons engineer on the bleeding edge of Exolvi technology.
Is.
My mistake. Is, but was formerly employed by the Sphere Mandate to develop advanced weaponry. Instead, she spent a considerable amount of government resources and time, uncharacteristically on personal projects, attempting to master
Translocation.
Yes, translocation.
Do you?
I'm not finished.
Okay.
Some of the top minds have examined this footage, and they have ascertained that a weaponized version of translocation could have resulted in what we see here. So my question for Miss Marcos and her crew: do you possess technology that did this?
Oh, no. No. Can you imagine if we did?
I can, and so can
How can-
the Saldrosi Empire. You see, the
Mm.
Saldrosi Empire was briefly under the false assumption that this was our technology, while we were briefly under the false assumption that it was the Saldrosi Empire who possessed this technology. It was the summit that was interrupted by the presence of foreign hostile actors, where we were going to hash out exactly what happened here. Unfortunately, the summit did not happen, and as you are well aware, the relations have soured. And since neither party has destroyed a planet or wiped out a fleet in the blink of an eye, we have decided that Saldrosi Empire was not responsible for this. But if you can see, in this quadrant, some distance, several thousand kilometers away from the Citadel ship, as you call it, is the NSS Androla. During the time in which the four of you would have served aboard.
We had previously been taken captive by the Tahanan with the assistance of some good friends of ours and members of the Androla team. We were able to escape moments before the planet and the ship were ripped apart. But seeing as we were on the ship, I didn't step foot on the planet after that.
Interesting.
It was terrifying, but it also gave us some reconnaissance and some intel that allowed us to survive and even thrive in the next encounters we faced the Tahanan, which is
All of
how we
which
got the
is
captives.
valuable, which is why we're
Mhm.
discussing this now.
Yes, but the situation at y'all had to do somehow with the Citadel ship's method of transport interacting with the hyperwind that was tearing the planet apart. That is what our research suggests. While we were on board the Androla, we were researching hyperwinds, which is why y'all was of interest to us in the first place.
Okay. Deception? I'm gonna give you a minus 3 step because this guy is quite discerning.
-3?
Hmm?
Does anyone want to provide me with some assistance by explaining the science behind the hyperwind
I mean,
travel?
sure. Yeah.
If you'll just
Before
go into a babble.
yeah, before Hypoist makes that check, Irene will interject with and cuz we were on the Citadel ship when all of this was going down, and as Hypo said, we had been on y'all because of our interest in hyperwinds and their connection with potential psionic connections. We were exploring those avenues. We went down to y'all at one point to investigate. This was prior to the Citadel ship
The
incident.
arrival. Mhm.
We were down there, and there was an Empyrean installation that we believe was responsible for the hyperwind distortions of the planet. And as Hypo has said, a little inexpertly, but accurately, something to do with the transport, with a transport on the Citadel ship, and then an interaction with the Empyrean installation did actually cause this tear that you
A
see.
sort of fluxation in the hyperwind.
Yeah.
As you might.
Are you trained in deception, Irene?
Yes, that is the only social skill I am trained
Alright,
in.
so Hypoist, you're gonna get a +2 step.
And
Which
every
is a
word
-1 total.
that Irene said was accurate.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. I was like,
It's
I
just
was
it's
on the
just
Citadel.
live omission, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Fuck!
Ooh, that's a low freaking roll.
I can hero point this.
I wouldn't.
Oh.
I'm just saying, I wouldn't.
Yeah. I don't want to have a bad rapport with this guy is all. Like what I'm trying to do is develop a relationship where he trusts me a little bit.
And if he catches you in a cold lie, then he's
Yeah.
not gonna.
So I'm gonna hero point it. I also have like 3 of them, so it's fine.
Drop a hero point to get that average.
At the same time, he's not catching us in a cold lie. He's catching us in a.
I also
That's technically true. However,
emotionally, Hypowest does not want the sphere mandate blaming Irene for the devastation at y'all, because then they'll never let her go. In my own very selfish way,
Yeah.
Hypowest wants to keep Irene.
Okay. So
I get it.
that is a hero point for an average success.
Yes.
So he kind
I
of
was
looks
trying
between
to
the
go
two
for
of
an
you
excellent.
for a long moment until finally going, very well. If there are further details, I assume Irene will specify that in her debrief. That being said, I understand that the cohort has an addendum to the agreement involving the surrender of Irene, Marcos, into our custody, specifically his custody.
Seeing as he is not a part of the mission here to take possession or to establish a base on Helgurg, and we are here as a diplomatic embassy on behalf of Kibby of Helgurg, I would not feel comfortable handing her over into custody while during this visit. It does set a bad precedent, doesn't it? That you could take a diplomatic member of like what's the word I'm thinking of? A diplomatic representative.
What he's getting
I
at is, I have diplomatic immunity.
Once we're back on planet, we can talk to the cohort about establishing an agreement or anything like that. But
As I have
taking her
stated
as a prisoner now is
previously, Cohort Tenek and I are operating out in different realms, different domains of the command structure. I cannot order Cohort Tenek to allow Irene Marcos to walk free. Not in my ability, nor can he order me to take her into custody. However, as a flag officer in operating independently, I have certain privileges which can manipulate the situation favorably for both parties. I can grant Irene expatriatism.
Go on.
There are 2 requirements for me to grant this. First, the weapon must be returned in its entirety. And 2, we must be allowed to do a neural retrieval of all information pertaining to sphere mandate weaponry and technology extracted from Irene's mind.
To protect government secrets.
Precisely. And since, once again, Miss Marcos was working on the bleeding edge of technology, her insights would be invaluable for continuing that research, just stagnated in their absence.
Irene, congratulations.
If both of these conditions are met, I shall expatriate Irene, which will mean she is no longer under our
A
jurisdiction,
citizen of the Sphere Mandate, yes.
which means she will not be granted any privileges. All other exolvees are granted. She will be free. Do not worry about the Sphere Mandate sending Cohort Tannic to retrieve her. Because as of this moment, Cohort Tannic's entire mission, until this completed, is just that.
That is an incredibly generous offer. I believe it is something Irene would have to consider, largely because
Using that same panel, he presses another button. He says, activate privacy mode for conference room 2B. Authorization, Captain Kremenov. Cohort Tannic, perhaps you and I should exit the room and allow these individuals to discuss their options. How long do you need? 15, 30 minutes, do you think?
I'll talk to her about it, but I know that it would be painful in a way to swear off her home of the Sphere.
I'll let you
Swear off her
discuss it.
home.
He waves his hand over the panel, which makes it close, and he stands up and he says, and he gestures to the lieutenant and to
Hypo West gives him
Tannic.
a meaningful look and is like, "Thank you."
The three of them exit, and Tannic, after the captain and his officer leaves, Tannic lingers for a moment and starts stepping away. And before he leaves, he looks one last time directly at Irene,
Goodbye.
and then he steps out.
Okay, so we're not doing that bullshit.
Yeah, no, there's no way they're getting their hands on it.
We need to get
First
you out
off-
of the ship.
First off, it's not a weapon. It was never a weapon. It was
know,
never
darling.
meant to be weaponized. They will not use it as a weapon.
I know. Yes, Razik?
Uncharacteristically of me, I don't have time to weigh the pros and cons of the two plans I'm willing to put forward.
Just lay it out. Look, Spirit Stick is yours. I didn't bring
yes.
it because
No,
I didn't
the
think.
reason I started laughing is because like when Hypo said yes, Razik, I just imagine Hypo just pulling out the spirit stick and just sliding it across the table.
I nearly brought it.
It's not
I
a
was really
weapon.
like, I'm
They
gonna
didn't
give it
take
to Captain Tech.
Like, it's just a fancy toilet paper tube. I don't get it.
So
They're like feathers and sequins on it.
Yeah.
plan number one, I do not like it, but Irene's new acquisition of a cerebral port, we could download Irene's plans and schematics onto a device, wipe Irene's memory, using chemical
Yep.
and so on and so forth, and then they could not retrieve it. Even if they do the procedures, they would not be able to find the plans.
The issue
And
is, I like that idea, and I thought of something similar, but I was like, but then she would lose all of her like technical prowess. And then you reminded me that she has a cerebral port now,
so we can put
We
it
can-
back.
We could
So we
back it
can
up. And what
reload
if we just-
Irene. You know
What
what?
if we just let them take everything except the TID PP and then we put it back?
So that's the issue. Is like they're asking for the TPP. I don't know if we want to like pretend it doesn't exist. Like we can't give them that.
Well,
No.
okay, one, they can't have the TID PP.
Yeah.
Yes,
Sure.
no,
we
definitely.
cannot-
Two, they cannot have Ceregal.
Yeah.
We haven't mentioned it, so it's fine.
Well, right, but if they scrape her brain, they're gonna get it.
I
And
like the idea of eternal sunshine of the spotless minding Irene because I'm hoping it would make her nicer.
oh man, like I don't ever want to plan out that far ahead for like character development, but like that would be a cool like 1 or 2 sessions where that happened and she's just super nice and not a weapons genius, and then it all comes back and she's like, fuck all of you.
Yeah.
Anyway, um because they're gonna scrape for everything.
Mhm.
Yes, but we can wipe.
Whether or not it began development under the employ of the Sphere Mandate government, and they're going to claim that because she hadn't yet, or because I hadn't yet been expatriated, that I was still a
Under.
citizen and employee of the government, and therefore that is their intellectual property. So they can't have the TPP, they cannot have the Ceregal
Obviously.
because Elise, I love you, honey. I love you to death. The Starkeepers are children compared to what Exalvi psionics are capable
Okay.
of.
Well, then
You
that
never
throws my
say I
second
love
plan
you.
Settle
down the
down.
drain.
And no, and that's I always appreciated you, and I still appreciate you and what you're capable of and what you do, because and part of it was I had not been genetically encoded for those talents. Um, and I mean, surprise, surprise, I've got them, and I'll take whatever teacher I can get. So thank you. And yes, Vegas knows how assholeish that just came off, but Irene is being genuine.
I'm just upset that Irene said I love you to Elise before she'd say it to Hyper.
Um, so they
It's
can't have the
it's the
Surregal.
sisterhood. You understand?
He
Now
journals about
here's
every time Irene is nice to him.
he's one thing that he's not aware of, or I don't think he's aware of. I'm pretty sure he's not aware of, else he would have brought it up. And actually, I don't know if the rest of you are aware of. So good news. I made a pretty fucking major breakthrough on translocation while we were at, I don't remember the name of the
Dubkey
station.
4.
Dub key 4.
Yeah,
Oh, you fixed the
Dub Key 4.
PP.
No, and yes. And I haven't had the chance to convert over what I learned from the facility at Dubkey 4 into the TID PP. We've been kind of busy, you know.
And you
But
didn't have your tools.
right. But we may be able to counter offer with that information because translocation technology, I am 100% willing to share with.
If we give them
Experiment.
translocation technology, they will weaponize it.
What I have is not weaponized, and I haven't figured out a way to weaponize it.
Okay, so we have a limited amount of time, but loading Irene's technical capabilities, including information on the Ceregal, into Cerebral Port, into the thumb drive, right? And then taking her to let them scrape, right? And then being like, we don't have the TPP. We lost a lot of Irene's research and equipment and tools in the Saldrin attack on Dub Key 4. They blew up. We had to, in a dire situation, we had to blow up her lab to prevent them from getting their hands on her research. That is true. So we cannot give them the device, but we can give them Irene. However, they will not take Irene's mind being wiped before we hand her over very well. And I imagine they would probably recognize the cerebral part.
Hey, Fred. Yeah, Tim. Is that a cerebral port that wiped all our memory? Yeah, Tim.
Like, I like the idea, but on closer examination, I'm a little worried that it will look like we are acting in bad faith. Which we are, but we don't know what it looks
Whoa,
like.
whoa, 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 whoa.
Not to be a little bit of Irene here, but being the best doctor, I might be able to hide the cerebral port.
Oh, have you seen that makeup trick where you just put like lipstick and then
It's like hiding a hole in the wall. You put toothpaste over it and then paint over, right?
No, it's
just
ramen.
use ramen and a sand?
Ramen and glue.
Fun.
Or
Fun
But,
eggshell
fact
glue.
story. I did that with a wall in my sister's room when she kicked
But given what
hole in the
Irene has
wall.
put forward, my
Not
second plan
kidding.
was to offer them the psionics enhancing drug, but then yeah, no. So that's second plan out the window.
I have
but
an
on
out of character question.
Yeah, what's up? What's good?
Psyblades. Can anyone build them, or only people with the knowledge?
Only people who knew the techniques of a cyanide.
oh,
Now,
gee.
do
There are no cyanides
in the sphere mandate?
sphere mandate.
What if we make what if we make it look like it wasn't the TID PP, but some kind of Psyblade that Irene made up, and offer that as a like basically if we wipe her memory of the TID PP and make it seem like it was some kind of psionic weapon that Irene
Oh,
developed.
no, they know
I think
exactly
they're aware of what the
he is.
TPP
They are
is.
very aware of it.
Okay.
They just can't recreate it because on her way out the door, she wiped all of the schematics. Like the
Yeah. She
testing
pretty
phase-
much got a huge magnet and went womp.
Right. Yeah, they knew what she was working on. They knew very
Okay.
expressly. That's why
Okay.
they want it so badly.
I say Irene has to tell them that the TID PP was lost in the attack on WP4. I just don't have an answer to the mind wipe thing.
I do.
Okay. Continue.
None of you were involved. She did
Oh.
it to herself.
Well, fuck. Okay, so is Irene just saying like, I think that is a solution, and I have something else. I'm not worried about the mind wipe thing.
No, she's bringing it up as like because we're talking about like I understand why that would be considered a show of bad faith. So what we do is you guys had nothing to do with it. I did it myself.
Okay.
And if it becomes necessary, I will do it myself.
Out of character. Should I try to bone this captain?
I mean, the answer to that is yes.
There's a recent running joke in our Thursday game about crawling under the table.
It's like we're at the negotiation tables and Hyper West is just like using his foot to tap his boot. like a high schooler trying to flirt. He's like, we should have more meetings. No, anyway. I was like, this guy seems really cool. And like a good dude to have a lot of information on.
What if there was a way to psychically get that information and store it and then give it back to you psychically?
I am willing to trust Irene if she has a plan.
Okay.
But I think psychic storage of memories is a hella good idea.
I should point out, just because I don't want it to seem like it's being sprung on you guys, because
Mhm.
anything on the control carrier, Irene is. They have the ability to do that right here, and so you guys do not have the ability to wipe memories right here.
Right here, yeah.
And so your plan
Does hinge
Yes,
on going
yes, we
home
do.
first.
We
Oh.
absolutely do have that ability. to do
Irene
that
has
right here.
a plan already. Yeah.
Oh,
We absolutely have the ability to do that right here.
okay.
Irene? Hyper West
We
is gonna
have-
like gently put a hand on her shoulder and be like, I trust you.
We have the galaxy's greatest doctor. We have the galaxy's foremost psionic warrior.
And Hyper West.
We have the galaxy's greatest negotiator.
I was gonna say friendliest guy.
Just swellest
He's most
dude.
handsome.
And we have the galaxy's foremost expert on weapons development and cyber technology. And in addition to that, we've got a virtual tablet that's already Bluetoothed into my head.
There is that. Y'all try to figure that out.
So,
I think we have like 15 minutes.
so we have stuff here that could do it if we improvise the hell out of it. And I'm sorry, what is this crew best at?
Okay.
Fucking shit up without having a plan. That's what we're best at.
I think we're
Pretty
very
true.
good at destroying things as well, which is also kind of part of what this is. My idea was for y'all to start doing that as soon as possible because he was like 30 minutes is enough time. And go out and pretend that I got kicked out of the room because I was distracting and not and too biased in favor of Helgerg or something of that sort. And just kind of like engage in conversation and schmooze to try and give y'all as much time as possible.
We kicked you out because of the spirit stick.
Well, I was going to tell them, like, well, because I am so in favor of doing whatever it takes to establish a kind of safe transfer of power in Helgerg, they decided I was too biased to come to decision on the totally separate issue of Irene's capture. Are y'all okay with this, or should I be around to help out?
My main worry about us technically kicking you out for that specific reason is that they might think that we're trying something.
I mean, I think they think we're trying something anyway.
Fair enough.
I'd
But I'm
rather
not
have
gonna
you
be
in here
super-
just in case something happens.
With
Because
what?
let's face it, other than Irene, not good with computers. And I'm not sure about Razik.
No, but we might need your psionic abilities because if we can,
Oh, I
if
didn't say
I,
I'd leave. I didn't say I'd leave. I'm just
There's-
saying if something happens to Irene, then we need the next best person with computers, which I believe is Hypoist.
Razik is skilled in like implanted technology.
yes, but
There's-
not in computer.
I'm beginning to realize there is also one real big flaw with Irene's idea of just fucking zapping her brain empty right here, right now.
Head empty juice, yeah.
Well, that. One, where do we store it? How do we can store it on the tablet, but they're going to want the tablet.
Store it
Two,
on my personal
if we don't provide them with what they're asking for, Irene
don't
doesn't get expatriated, and they're going to take her and
That's what I was saying about the bad faith thing.
Okay.
yeah.
It sounds like you guys are still in the discussion phase. I have to use the bathroom. Continue.
Okay.
Perfect.
Do we
More time.
have what's the AIs stick with us? So what if we put her onto the tablet and then onto the AI stick with the AI temporarily? That way it's not on the tablet.
You mean with
Docs?
Doc, yeah.
Docs AI? That's not something. Actually, no. That probably is something that Irene carries around with her because of emotional value.
I also I think if we don't want to get into trouble with Irene, we have to leave something. We have to leave something for them to find. That way they feel
Let's
like
put
they got
Doc
what they
in there.
wanted.
Put Doc into Irene? No.
Yes.
No.
No.
But, like,
I am
out of character.
immediately uncomfortable with where this is going.
Out of character, my concern is if they get nothing, then Irene's not expatriated. They're still gonna hunt her down. If we give them a little bit of something, like, oh well, TidPP was destroyed, but she still has some information on some kinds of tech stuff, but she hasn't been researching since we left such and such planet. Although that doesn't really work if her research was blown up. Or rather, like, her research has been solely devoted to psionics and like learning psionics. So we don't have anything tech wise other than these few thoughts. Like, we need to leave some stuff on there if we're gonna take stuff out. We can't just empty Irene. I hate that sentence.
I mean, like, that's what I was saying. Is there a way we could just empty the TID PP in a few key things?
Like, take
Yes.
Ceregal and
Oh yes, there's a
maybe
way.
what if Irene, if you can access thoughts in this kind of like digital way, why don't we see if Jaken will allow Irene to distort them so that they get TPP schematics and then when they put it together it doesn't work.
Right. That was one of my thought processes as well.
Because
I mean, if it helps, we could also use telepathy to suggest it differently, so Irene believes that's what happened because of the suggestion.
There's that too.
yeah, I mean it depends on what Jaken says can happen, can like actually happen in game.
We're really diving into some levels of bio interaction with computers that I don't know if that exists. I mean,
exactly.
obviously we know like skill chips exist.
There's some chicanery for sure.
Right. So as an example, Irene now has the doctorate level equivalent knowledge of cybernetics,
Nanotech.
or nanotech. And so I mean, obviously, there's some sort of interaction between the biological mind and computer programs, but to narrow it down, we can put knowledge into a mind. I don't know how good we are at pulling specific knowledge out of a mind.
I mean, also, it can just be distorted.
Yeah.
We can make a copy of that knowledge. We can distort the current knowledge. We can fix it later. That's what I'm saying.
Or
Because memories and
or
knowledge
not
is stored
fix it
over
later.
time.
Razik.
With your hand up, spirit stick. I'm gonna make one of these days.
Since they allowed me to have the med pack with me, the med pack allows for scanning. Scanning allows me to see the brain functions. If you think really hard about the TID-PP and specific parts of the TID-PP, that's going to show up on the scanner, which means we can zap specific parts of TID-PP information in your brain, hopefully killing the neurons, which would remove the information from your brain. So it is possible.
My concern there is that the neurons that are going to be firing when thinking about the design of the TID-PP are the same neurons that are used in all of her designs. And we could
Oops, I accidentally your 10 levels in engineering.
Right, just gone. And like and mechanically, yeah, that sucks. Character-wise, yeah, that sucks. Character development-wise, that's a big change that I don't know if I as a player am prepared for.
In the words of Captain Sisko, that's a big step.
Yeah, that's
yeah, we are on like a time crunch though. Like we need a solution. We're talking about the same plan over and over again.
This guy has already been open to undercutting cohort Tannic.
Effectively, yeah.
Tannic.
He's got a lot of tannins.
It would be possible to convince him
because he's very dry.
Yeah.
Thank you, Caddy.
I think it would be possible to convince him that he's willing to offer expatriation for these things. Would he be willing to look completely the other way and fuck cohort Tannic over in exchange for these other things? Just like Irene accepts the fact that expatriation isn't going to happen and Tannic is going to constantly be a thorn in her side. in exchange for Captain Kremenov saying, "You just gave me this information. You were never here. I don't know. Who are you? Why are you on my ship? Get off my
Mm.
ship. Go away."
Do you think Captain Kremenov is the type?
Unless the information that his mission requires him to acquire, the thing that we offer this, like, outside of that, like to replace that, is equal or better value, I don't think he
As
would budge.
as much as like he's willing to kind of fiddle with what Tennant gets, ultimately, I think he's way too above board to totally fuck over that guy's like
Yeah.
he's that's just not his vibe.
Okay. We're approaching this from and this is player
Uh-huh.
kind of meta knowledging the plot at a moment, or for the moment, or meta analyzing the plot for a moment. Which I think right here, just for me personally, is almost necessary.
Mhm.
We're operating under the assumption that Irene is not going back to the Sphere Mandate.
I mean, I tried to imply that she possibly would.
Possibly would go back?
Yeah, whenever they were like walking out, I was like, well, we have to consider it because she might want to go home one day. And like you were like, no. And I'm like, I'm trying to imply that.
Right. No. But I'm saying we are
Mhm.
operating under the assumption that our characters are not going to let this happen.
Out of character wise, so I can give you a little bit of insight on Rizik's mind, he doesn't have the best relationship with Irene. He's gonna be sad if she has to go, but if it's her own decision, or if it's the crew's decision, he wouldn't be exactly against it. However, since the talk right now is we keep her on board, we try to do everything, Rizik is following that and just following, but his train of thought is, how bad can it be?
Hype West is mainly concerned. Like he wants Irene to be happy, but also like if Irene goes back to the Sphere Mandate, the Sphere Mandate just became a lot more dangerous.
Obviously.
Right.
Like he wants to see her happy in a position that she can be in for a long time, and like the Sphere Mandate would be steady in a way that she doesn't have. But does he want the Sphere Mandate to have Irene? No.
There's an option that I love and I hate.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck you, Jakin.
Irene can make a decision and tell us what her decision is. As far as like it is ultimately her choice whether or not she wants to fuck with her brain in potentially incredibly like dangerous ways. It's up to her to decide if she goes back.
She's super duper arrogant and
I know.
and this is leading somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
She's arrogant enough, and culturally, doing something like that is effectively suicide, and that does not exist in her culture.
Mm-hmm.
Because and I know we're traipsing into emotionally dangerous territory here, but I mean it almost it has to be talked about. In the Sphere Mandate, suicide is not an issue. It is not a thing that happens because, apart from rare exceptions like Irene, everyone is doing exactly what they're meant to do. They were bred for it. They were literally, this is what they're happiest doing. And does that mean that something went wrong with her creation is something I've been wrestling with.
That existential question.
Right. But that being said, wiping her brain, as amazing of an idea as that is, as a big middle finger to the entire society, and you'll never get this shit. That's great, and it's totally up Irene's alley, but it is effectively suicide, and that is something that's a step she's not willing to take. I think that's a step she's not capable of taking.
Yeah.
Um, I am at a loss of what to do here, though, because
But they're going to wipe her mind. They're effectively saying, like, we're going to put an end to
no,
you.
no, no.
Yeah, no, they said they're going to take it, which means they don't plan on leaving it
They
behind.
don't leave it back.
So they're planning on effectively killing Irene.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
I thought the implication was
No,
they were going to
They're not
control
making
C,
copies.
control V. They're control
No,
Xing.
Control Xing, yes.
Which
Oh,
is why I
fuck.
was saying, like, what if we just backed you up, essentially?
Yeah.
Made a backup so we could put you back and then worry about them having the TID PP later. And alter what you have the TID PP first. That way they don't, like, that way they get the schematics, but maybe it's not a working model. Like, there's a key
Right.
piece missing that's needed to work.
That fucking changes everything. The difference
Yeah,
between
I was
control C and
wondering
control
why
X.
you were so.
Oh my god, I read that wrong.
Mm-hmm.
When they mean expatriatism, they mean like Irene dies to our society. So like
Yeah.
she
No,
is
no,
no
and I-
longer of value. Like yeah,
It's more like being oh gosh, what's the word?
fired,
Something from the like whenever the church
excommunicated.
she's being excommunicated more than
Yeah, no, this is worse than that. And now I'm wondering, does anybody else here understand the implications of that?
Hypawest might.
Not
Hypawest
really.
is learned.
He did yeah,
Right.
he did go to school to be a diplomat. It's kind of
Okay.
I mean, honestly, when I first heard it, that's what I assumed was going to happen. Like, that's what
Right,
I,
but
when I heard it, I was like, oh.
Vegas
but
is
the
Vegas is talking
significance
about
of that too, the exalted.
yeah, the exalvi significance. Like if someone took away, Elisi's ability to swing her side blade, like that sword skill, that wouldn't mean that Elisi
was dead.
she's still a psychic, she's still a sister, but to Irene, she was literally, her egg was fertilized to make weapons. Like
Yeah.
yeah, like
Which
it's
is why
kind of
Hypawest
intense.
is over here like we can make it back up. We make sure you don't lose this. We're not gonna let you lose this.
Yeah.
Well,
Which
no,
also
okay,
means
so
if you want to turn it down, we can fight our way out of this control carrier. Like that, it is up. Whatever you say.
well, I mean, with that being the implication, then, if we don't hand it over, they're going to continue hunting.
Mhm.
They're going to continue hunting Irene, and that's assuming we make it off the control carrier,
Mhm.
which we won't. Which
No,
no,
we
no.
don't have like most of our weapons.
Some of these security systems were probably based on some weapons designs by Irene. We're not making it out of here. Fuck. Okay. So if we don't give it to them, we're not getting out of this ship. If we do give it to them, they have it.
And you lose it.
Right, and they have it, and Irene is effectively dead. So, with that being the implication, no. I mean, we can kind of rewind the entire conversation to the beginning, where Irene is saying, "No, fuck that. They can take me."
Let's not rewind the
then
conversation. Let's
back
just
to
say
the
that
man.
Irene has been working through this.
Right.
Because it's kind of a bombshell moment.
Yeah.
I will give you all another 10 minutes back because I've been keeping track of the real time and we were at 30. So
Yeah.
I'll give you 10 more minutes of being like this, because the last 10 minutes has really been talking about this miscommunication. So
Yeah.
Well, Tenek is the one interested in you, not the commander. So,
But the commander's not going to stand in his way, except for the offer of this expatriation.
yeah, which I get, but I mean, if Tenek leaves on his own, then he's not on the control carrier with Irene, and then we have a potentially better chance of fighting
How
our
do?
way.
Yeah, but how do we make Tennant? Like, Tennant's not gonna leave without her.
What if we all go? If Irene goes, we all go.
Oh, like go to the sphere mandate, all of us.
Yeah.
I mean, I was planning on kind of joining in later.
There's no way. Okay,
Wait,
I'm trying
returning
to
to
save
character.
all of you and me in this process here. If you come back to Sphere Mandate space with me, there's no Involucre is a great ship. It cannot outrun a control carrier.
Irene. This is what you want. I'm not going to talk you out of it. You are my best friend. But I cannot ask you to sacrifice everything you are for our traipse around the galaxy. If you want us, you know how to ping us. And we will drive anywhere to shout, "Get in, bitch, we're going shopping." But it is up to you. This is a huge decision, and I do not want our concerns, our selfishness over what you offer us to impede your decision making.
Bitch, shut up. You're not understanding me. So, like, I'm not saying they can have me and they'll go ahead and wipe what they want and then expatriate me.
I know.
I'm saying they're not going to wipe me because I'm going to offer to go back willingly. They're not going to turn that down. They're going to want to use me for stuff in the future. What they don't realize is they're not getting anything from me. They think they're getting me back. They're not getting anything from me. I will burn the entire motherfucker down from the inside.
Crazy
And
thought.
then you'll ping us and we'll pick you up.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
You said that you made a huge breakthrough on the translocation. Would there be a chance you could fix it and then translocate to a place where we could get you?
Yes, actually. 100%.
And if we make it a psychic connection, it'd be even harder for them to use it, and then you could potentially psychically connect to Ceregal.
Well, see, and that's
Or
part
me,
of
or
the
Tristan.
breakthrough is it's all tied to the psionic field. Translocation requires psionic directive. It's
It
it's
sounds
very
like we have a solution. But you do need to tell them that you don't have the TPP. You can say, I can go with y'all, but the TPP
It's
destroyed
been destroyed.
on Dubkey 4. Saldrin attack blew up lap.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
will back you up on that. I can go into hysterics, but
Okay.
And what do you need from us?
Well, actually, the Gundam Master is gonna have to pump the brakes. I don't mind any direction y'all choose. I want to preface that y'all know, but I'm just
But
saying
this
it.
one.
But I need to establish expectations because this is a pivotal shift. If Irene goes back to the Sphere Mandate and everyone else goes back to the Involucre, are we gonna roll a new character with the anticipation that Irene will find a way to get back? / we will eventually roll at rescue, or are we expecting me to do scenes with Irene, scenes with everybody else, and split sessions?
If this happens as the player involved,
Yes.
I'm personally gonna insist on option 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
I would love to do scenes with Irene.
and if that's something you want to do as we go along, you've seen in previous experience, I am happy to play 2 different characters at the same time.
At the same time, code switching.
Okay.
And
So as long as we know what we're doing.
Here's meta question.
Yeah.
Is there a way out of this for all 4 members of the crew of the Involuker without having to fight off the control carrier and we stay together? Is there a way out of this?
Sure. I mean, I never want to put you guys in a no-win situation ever. Do I know what that is? No.
Well,
Okay.
But could you shoot your way out? Could you finesse your way out? Could you finagle your way out? Yeah. Of course.
Well,
It's a role-playing game. Of course you can. I'm the GM. Of course you can.
Well, I mean, that's what I was saying. It's like if Irene chooses to go with it willingly, we could say Irene's gonna go back to develop weapons with you, but we're like a family now, so we want to still be together, even if Irene's still working with you. That way, we're all still together.
Could do that too. But I'm saying is, if you guys said, "Fuck the rules, we have dice," and you wanted to just go ham, it may be really grueling. You may take a lot of damage. You may die in the attempt, but it's a role-playing game, guys, and I'm the GM. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Look, that's why I'm saying I'm gonna sleep with the captain and convince him to let Irene go because I'm such a powerful lover.
I mean, that tracks. Okay, but okay,
It's
here's
a role-playing.
and I know we're kind of making light now of a potentially
Campaign shattering,
altering, shattering decision here.
Yeah.
I don't want Irene to go.
I don't want Irene to go either, but from a character development narrative standpoint,
Don't use narrative on me.
this is 100% the shift of the dynamic between season 3 and season 4 of Dire Roll Lost Horizon.
Well, we're like in the middle of
You know what I
Yeah.
mean. You know what I mean. Like this is either the mid-season finale and we'll be back after the holiday break, or you know, like this is narratively, and I really want it. Like now that we're talking about it, I want this for Irene.
Well, that's great. We're only an hour and a half into session. So there's that.
Look, we still have to have a conversation with this guy to see what we can work. But Irene, you already said let me take over if I feel like I need to take over. You take over when you need to take over. But
All right.
I want to try and schmooze this man.
At that, the door opens,
Good.
and first the adjutant comes in, followed by the captain, and followed, trailing behind is Tenic. And the captain looks around to see everyone, like, and then he says, and he puts his hand on the back of his own chair, and he says, "Are you ready to continue?"
It looks like we are.
Splendid. Cohort, if you'd like to brood some more. He pulls out his chair and he sits down.
I'm actually going to ask that for this portion of the conversation that my unfortunate progeny leave the room.
Well, fortunately, he's technically... all of the 4 of you technically came under his charge, so... Cohort? Is that alright with you? Tenic just thinks for a moment and says, "It's your ship, Captain."
I mean, where
I'll
are
be
we
outside.
going to go?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And he steps outside and the door closes. There you go, one less.
I'm sorry, we're just talking about how hot the captain is in chat.
Don't think too hard, Jake, and just
We've-
keep going. Stay in
we
character.
fan cast him as Billy Boyd. Anyway,
Okay.
You know, Pippin.
No, I know who Billy Boyd is. Yeah.
Okay, anyway. That didn't work as well as I thought it would. I think, yeah, if Irene was asking the cohort to go, Hypoes is assuming she was taking the hypothetical reins here.
Okay. So, Irene.
All right. So
The absolute worst time to have intrusion. Hi, sweetie. I'm right here. You just look to the left. Hi. I don't know if y'all heard me. She said, "Daddy, say hi to me."
I
She's
did.
literally like 5 feet
Right
from me.
there, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anyway,
oh, how do I compete with that? That's just the best. Like, anywho, I am prepared to surrender myself into your custody and your custody alone.
with the understanding that we will take you home.
With the understanding that I will be returning to the Sphere Mandate and that I will be returning to my family and returning to my duties.
Ouch.
I am more than willing to accept your terms. However, Tennick's ship would have no reason to stay and therefore make the journey back to New Eden. My ship, however, must remain in orbit of Helgurg until completion of the battle station. I would have to take a vessel from my flotilla and send it home. It would be a great inconvenience, but if it means that the great and famous Irene Marcos would return to station, then perhaps I am willing to make this sacrifice to my battle strength.
There are
Well, if you don't want to sacrifice one of your ships, you could always just put men on the Liquor and send us back on that.
The capabilities of the full review in terms of your violent altercations are well known to the Sphere Mandate.
Yes. Also, I don't imagine the Involucre flying into Sphere Mandate space, no matter how prettily we dress it up, would get very much clearance.
No, instead I will outfit a scout vessel, which is one of the fastest hyperdrives in my flotilla. And they will be loaded up with Aeon troops, and then we will take you home.
there are a few other conditions to my surrender.
Very well.
Your report is to include that the crew of the Involucre was instrumental in helping you establish these
Terms?
The agreement with the newly established government here.
You mean to remove the outstanding smuggling charge placed on Hyposanguilin? I don't have the power to do that, but I will put in my report that I highly suggest we erase Hypo's criminal record within the Sphere Mandate.
I don't give a fuck whether it's in your power or not. It's going to happen, or by the time I make it back home, my brain is fried and you get nothing.
As flag officer in command of operations in the
Make
Maurar system,
happen.
no vessel under my control, which includes the Helgurg system, will attempt to extradite Hyposanguilin. That is the best I can guarantee.
That is incredibly generous of you.
I'm not asking for a guarantee. I'm saying make it
Just in the
happen.
report.
No.
In
Make
that
it
case, we shall set you up in our visitor's suites here on the ship. It will take several days for me to communicate with Sphere Mandate Command, and several days for them to respond. You'll be treated
additional.
as restricted access guests, and if you get up to any,
Bullshit.
yes, we will have to reassess the terms.
Additionally. Oh, I'm not done yet, sweetie.
This is exhausting for me.
Look, you're getting back the mind behind translocation and the TID PP. You can calm yourself and listen to what the fuck I have to say.
You have my rapt attention.
Thank you, Dick.
I always thought that all of the Exolvi were like this, but it ends up it's just the geniuses.
Shit, I lost my train of thought there.
I'm sorry.
I was so no. I was so good at being a raging bitch. Fuck.
You're gonna be here a few days.
Additional terms.
I know.
I was like, well, while we wait for Vegas to get on track, I'll read some Discord, and it's just half the cast fawning over Billy Boyd. Which, sure.
Look, half the cast of Lord of the Rings also fawned over Billy Boyd. He's worth fawning over.
I mean, did you hear him sing? Beautiful. Just
Mm.
beautiful.
I always had a crush on Pippin.
Anyway, additionally, you'll be part of all of this exchange is information on Saldran activity within the Wild Cluster. You'll also be getting some information regarding an incipient psionics fraternity that they have stolen the title. Elise, what is your official title?
Badass bitch. Sorry.
It's just Starkeeper, as far as I know.
Yeah, I didn't know if there was like anything beyond that. But the Starkeepers, you're going to emphasize that organization needs to be dealt with so that the true Starkeepers can, if you need to maybe, push a little bit on the threat level of what the Saldrosi Starkeepers represent, you're going to do that because Elise's going to get her shit back.
I shall include the information provided in my report. Now, are we putting on hold negotiations with Helgurg until we receive confirmation from command that the High Post's criminal record will be expunged? Or can we assume that regardless of the answer, we shall leave this system with Irene headed towards New Eden under some amicable arrangement?
My kind of impulse was to accept the terms because the issue of Irene Marcos's return to the Sphere Mandate is not technically your mission nor mine as a diplomatic envoy. So my agreement with you will stand, as it isn't even my agreement as much as it is the offer of Kibby.
Very well. In that case, we require the surrender of the Tahanin, and we will debrief each of you in regards to your dealings with the Saldrosi Empire and the Tahanin Citadel warship. After that, we will coordinate with your anarchist movement to overthrow the current Helgurg government and install whichever leader you see fit under
A more orderly government.
A more agreeable government.
The anarchists organized government.
Well, anarchy really just means like a transition from one government to another. It's the period between. True anarchy isn't really a
I know. True Anarchy is having a lot of committees,
Yeah, exactly. So
which
that's
is
why
why
he said you're
Hypoest is the
anarchist
way
party,
he
because
is.
you are
Yeah.
an anarchist who's trying to transition one government from another to another.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I meant it.
yeah, word. If each of you would thumbprint your panels, we can assume this agreement has been met with everything discussed in this table.
One last thing.
One moment. Disable privacy mode. Captain Kremenov, authorization.
Handing over the translocation induction device is impossible
Why?
because it's no longer in existence.
Okay. Give me a deception check.
The Saldrin
However-
attacked us on Dubkey 4, and
Okay,
it
we've already been
involved-
over this. And
Yeah,
we spent a lot of time. So, yes.
I'm trying to help.
Hypost is helping you. He still has the -3 because of his highly discerning personality. So +2 from Hypost. So you're at a net -1.
Oh, damn it. That's not one of those ones that I can use psionic effort on to
I
boost.
was actually gonna say, can I right now attempt to suggest that he's more apt to take it, to take the thing?
Maybe to reduce the penalty?
Yeah.
It is possible, but let me read the suggestion page so I can get it down to. I believe he's aware, is he not? Target, no.
Oh, wait, okay, but what if we stole one of the scouts?
If the attempt fails, the target knows that some outside force tried to influence.
Yes.
Yeah, you can attempt to suggest. Now, as a flag officer in the Sphere Mandate, he has been given mental discipline, specifically in defense of such an attempt. So I'm going to give you a -1.
Y'all are really ruining my attempts to schmooze with this guy.
It is often the case.
Yeah, they're not really social.
I'm gonna hero point on that to make
You're
it
going
an
to hero
average.
point. Okay. With an average.
Simple task, it has no reason not to. In this case, just I guess. In a way, it's like I just wanted to make it like
More
believe-
susceptible.
Okay. Since I'm gonna go ahead and go get loosey goosey. There is reason for him to distrust this information, but since you did in fact influence his mind, I'm gonna say that his -3 from discernment will be negated, but you still have to make the deception roll.
Okay,
But you
so
just-
now I'm at a
+2.
+2 instead of a -1.
There you
Okay,
go.
good. Yeah, I like this. This is good. And I'm spending a hero point because that's a 6. How the fuck did I get a 6 on a
We have
+2?
rolled very poorly so far.
I am spending Irene's last hero point for the
Kind of glad we
foreseeable
didn't go
future.
with the brain surgery route, giving the rolls that we've been putting out.
Rush your brains.
There's another timeline where Irene is just fucking like twitching on the ground and
I mean, let's be fair. That happens in a lot of alternate timelines
most
with Irene.
alternate timelines. Yeah.
And it's usually because someone shot her.
He says, "That is unfortunate. It's good that the Saldrin did not get their hands on it, but I'm sure once you are back to work, you can make a new one."
Oh, it'll be my #1 priority.
All right, thumbprints, please.
Deception again.
Excellent. Now, the one thing I must insist on is while we communicate with New Eden, that Irene stay on the control carrier as my, I would say as my guest, but I think we are all above such.
Political prisoner.
That's correct, yes. Well, the three of you elsewhere can fulfill the terms of our arrangement. We shall start debriefing. Actually, I have enough personnel to debrief all four of you at the same time. Are you ready for that, or do you require refreshments, a meal? I know you just came from some kind of incursion into a research base, and perhaps you need to rest and revitalize before we resume our terms.
I actually had a personal favor to ask you, Captain, if it was not too.
Why the hell did I bring y'all?
Yes, Doctor.
As part of the agreement, we will be handing you over to Hanan. I would like to also provide the biological and anatomical data I've collected on the species. However, I know that the sphere mandate's technology is above and beyond anything that can be seen on the
In the
far
wild
extent,
cluster?
and it would be a guilty pleasure of mine to see the state of the art medical installation that could be found at a control carrier. Could I debrief your medical officers myself in the medical facilities just so I could see the marvels of technology you have available?
I shall clear with my chief medical officer, but I believe a tour with limited access to specific technological readouts would be well within the purview. If you wish to be involved in the examination of the prisoner Tahanin, I am sure that would be allowed as well. In fact, your on-hand and prior experience with the Tahanin would probably be invaluable to my medical staff.
It would be a pleasure.
I see we have finally begun to cooperate. And perhaps,
Glad to see we can be so amicable. I'm
Don't
ready for a
tempt me.
debrief.
the next time we cross paths with the infamous Captain Sanguilin, their band of rogues, his band of rogues, you will remember that the Sphere Mandate is not as evil as we have been made out in the Wild Cluster, and of course, with our enemies, the Sadrosi.
Oh, we've had less than ideal interactions with the Saldrosi. I am comfortable and ready for a debrief. I will give my crew time
Very well.
to
My
figure
attendant
themselves
here
out.
can take you to the mess. Irene, do you wish to debrief now, or would you like to be shown to your suite? We have quite a comfortable prison planned for you.
And healthcare.
And he stands up and, you know,
I mean, for all I give a shit, you can load me up onto the scout ship now.
I thought you were waiting. So we no
No.
longer.
Sign of good faith.
Well, I appreciate this gesture. However, we will require your debrief on the incidents with the Tahanin prior to your departure. So,
And
my assistant
Captain?
will take you. One moment.
Oh.
My assistant will take you and Captain Sanguilin to be debriefed, and then in the meantime, I shall have your scout vessel fueled and ready to go. About the time you're done, you simply board and disembark. Yes, Captain Sanguilin.
I do expect that I will continue to act as a bit of an emissary for Kibby as things move forward for a little while we're here. And in that instance, I don't expect we'll have to do too much business, but do not be a stranger. Do
I
not
shall
be a
consider
stranger.
you a point of contact as long as you remain in Helgurg. Now, if that is all, aside from the pressing matters of this treaty, I have much to do. My assistant here and several more officers shall be pulled away to be tasked to each of you. They will assist you in fulfilling the terms of these arrangements and also returning you to the planet's surface at the appropriate time. Sans Irene. Alright, this has been a productive day. It is a pleasure to meet all of you, and I hope you all live long, prosperous lives without fear of those lizard bastards. Now, good day.
Ha ha ha!
As he leaves, at least he looks down her nose.
Ooh. That's hard, because Dorak have flat noses.
It didn't say it was easy.
She's just like,
He thinks
The
she's
meaning is
he
lost on
thinks
him.
Elise's giving him the whole the bro reverse nod.
Us 90s kids' greatest contribution.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So
Okay.
I guess we debrief.
Yeah, we debrief and stuff. I don't know what to do from here. I mean, I have plans, but
But we said fuck those.
no, I just like you just put me in a spot here.
Um,
I could call my wife again last time that worked.
Yeah, that went so well.
Okay, which one of you moved the actions and combat tab to the middle of the character block?
Not I.
what? Nope.
On the character, I just moved it
I
back.
did that on accident when my mouse freaked out.
Can't believe you. Let me
I didn't see it.
I hope this sheet.
Quite frankly, I would say just copy my sheet into a new one.
Oh, I was gonna just give you a blank sheet.
Well, I'm just saying for ease of making sure that it actually works.
Well,
Just
I tried it because I have two different documents. I try to keep them both up to date with each other.
Okay.
I think they are.
You do you.
I think I've already done me.
I got fucking.
All right, there's a copy of sheet. That should be you.
Okay.
Okay. In the meantime, there's a montage of you guys getting debriefed and handing over the Tahanan, and you guys are fulfilling. Unless I completely misread the situation, I assume this is your plan to fulfill your side of the bargain.
Yeah, Hyperwest involves a lot of like dramatic hand waving and like drawing a map on a napkin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alicia's consisting of telling how awful the Josie Empire is because of what they did to the Starkeepers, and then after she finishes that rant, she's just gonna stare them down like Jane does in Firefly.
All right. So I think the best way to lead into the break is to have Irene board the scout ship with the three of you say goodbye.
I think that's incorrect.
Irene just yeets out.
I think you are mistaken.
Okay. But I don't think I am.
I swear to God.
So is Irene going to try to leave without saying a word?
We're debriefing at like the exact same time and probably finishing up around the exact same time. Hyperwest like
So where are you going next?
shaking and saying bye, and then Irene coming out and being like, "And fuck you."
I mean, no, obviously she's not going to try and just peace out without saying goodbye, because there's discussion that needs to happen regarding the okay, so keep your eye on this particular
Okay, then have that conversation.
frequency.
Okay. Yeah. So you're setting up a pen pal situation.
Well, I mean, it's not for pen pals. It's for the inevitable message of, so like, I got it working, and this is where I'm gonna be, and I'll be here at this time. Come fucking pick me up, bitch. We're going shopping.
Yeah, for our space Craigslist.
Yeah. Okay, so but after that, now we're at the part where it's time for Irene to disembark.
Because she said she would just board the ship. I was gonna hang around.
So is it just Hypoist, or would Irene wait for everyone else to show back up?
We can wait for everyone else to show back up. I understand what you're trying to set up here, but you're not understanding that that's not going to happen.
Yes, it is. We have 7 minutes before break. All right, so we are outside.
It's gonna happen.
Of the
Speaking
airlock.
of chairs, new guy.
Goodbye, Vegas.
All right, so you guys are at the airlock between the superstructure of the control carrier and the scout ship.
Yeah, so like additionally, like Hypoist, I can't make this any clearer. All of my stash locations around the Involucre need to be cleared out.
Oh,
and
I'm
dealt
aware.
with and permanently dealt with.
Understood.
And like Alisi, Hypoist will show you like where some of them are. I need you to permanently deal with some of them. And like, because you know you're the best at permanently deleting things that I've ever met.
It'll It'll
except
happen.
for me, obviously.
You don't have to leave a list of like phone numbers. We can babysit.
Look, I'm just saying I'm doing this so like you guys are safe, but at the same time, I am not at all convinced that you guys are safe without me there. Because like your spirit stick at something, I can't explain to you how often I have had to stop Razik from choking you in the lounge because of your spirit stick.
It's really brought us all closer together.
No, it really hasn't. And like the Involucre is gonna fall apart within like a week because none of you know how to fucking work on it.
Hyperwest is gonna give Irene a hug.
I actually do. A little bit.
Wait,
No, no.
I
Irene
was
thinks
like
she's. He's like, I get it. We aren't gonna be okay without you, but we'll get by and we'll survive. And he's like very much hugging her while she's like
just make sure
he's
that
wearing
you
power armor.
actually
No, he's
manage
not actually.
you actually manage to continue surviving until I can get the message to you, because like no one else out in the wild cluster actually like comprehends my genius enough to appreciate that they need me. Like you guys all get it, and that's because you're smarter than the rest of them, and you're smart enough to recognize that I'm the smartest. So like, yeah, just make
There's
sure you
no
survive
resistance,
long
man.
enough. No, that's, I mean, obviously that's not what I'm getting at. You're trying to turn this into an emotional thing. This is not an emotional thing. Stop it.
Mhm. No, it'll be fine. We'll survive. I won't get shot up a bunch. Probably.
Look, you can continue getting shot up a bunch. That's fine because Razik is here and Razik can fix it. And when you do get shot up a bunch and like there's still the guys shooting at you, like Alisi's still here, so she can still kill them, so that's okay.
But you
But
never
these
got
two,
fixed my laser gun.
we will deal with that when you guys come pick me up later.
Okay.
But like these two aren't going to be able to get around. Like they don't know how to fly the ship. Like you're like I let you fly the ship because it's like your ship, but like even I'm worried even about you like flying the ship because buddy.
The ship belongs to the people, but that's fine.
What you know what I mean. So like Razik, I need you to keep this dipshit alive. Because
Always
you're
been
the
the
only
goal.
one in the galaxy that can.
That I believe.
Oh, and she'll unstrap the virtual tablet and hand it to Razik. So plans for the Surigal are in there. You can basically patch it right into the fabricator, and the fabricator will get to work on it, but you're gonna need to put it together, so like figure it out.
Elise helped with that, didn't she?
Right, and that's Elise. Elise and I have been working, so she's gonna have to help you with that. But I've seen how she uses the fabricator, and I don't want her doing that because she's gonna break everything.
She's
So
just gonna
you
make
have to plug it
hats
in.
put on slag.
Look, well, just what I'm getting at here is like you three absolutely have to keep each other alive, because if I have to get out of there on my own again, when I do, I'm going to find your corpses and I'm going to figure out a way to reanimate them so I can yell at you and shit. Okay?
Worse than dying.
Right. So fucking do it.
I sincerely hope that we get to see you again. I hope nothing bad happens to you. Your technical ability with various mechanical and computer stuff is impressive, almost as impressive as my talents with biological matter. And he says that with a slight, like, joking tone, just teasing a little. And he's gonna say, "Don't worry, the schematics and everything is in good hands as soon as I figure out what the any key is."
Irene, treat this like a vacation. You are going to have a great time being around people who understand any words you say.
I broke Irene with that last sentence. Oh.
I know Caddy's phone. I know.
At this point, Irene just makes super brief eye contact with Elise. And if you make me roll for this, I'm going to be pissed at you. But it's basically the psionic keep them safe. Looks at Rizik. The non-psionic keep him alive. And doesn't make eye contact with Hypoist. Heads up the ship. And will not turn around, but god damn it, you guys, I hate you.
I know. I'm over here like.
Oh,
Hypoist is watching the entire time to try and just like catch a glimpse.
Jake, you can make me roll 4, but I wanted to psychically tell Irene.
Yeah, no roll. Go for it.
Okay, I just be like, I know it drives you crazy. Maintain the meditation. It can help us make contact again if you ever need my help.
Fine.
We will.
Does she say
find
that
a
out
way
loud? It'd be
to
hilarious.
Yeah, that is said out loud.
Yeah. It's like, we will find a way to avenge the deaths of everyone on y'all, as I promised. And then cut it off.
Okay.
All right, so and then Irene is kind of going.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's like the little ramp up into the
Well,
scout
it's
ship.
literally just an airlock. I mean, remember these ships are built into the.
So yeah,
exterior.
down the airlock, but refuses to turn around. However, along the way, messing with her slave.
Oh. All right. We'll be back at 16 after. I have no idea what we're going to be doing. Okay, I have some idea. And we're going to see what the heck is going to happen next. Because Irene has left the building in more ways than one. So, thanks everybody for tuning in so far. We hope to see you at, okay, now 17 after. 17 after, guys. And we got another hour, 43 minutes of Dire Roll Lost Horizon. Don't go anywhere. Hello, everybody. We are not actually back. I kind of pushed for this, so it was my idea. But in order to give Vegas time to make a proper character, because we don't know how long he's going to play this character, we don't know how long we want Irene out. We need to have a lot of conversations about that. We need to make a proper character for Vegas, and also figure out how to get him involved in the campaign organically. All that being said, I've decided, with the consensus of the players, that we're gonna have a half session today, just because if we kept going, Vegas would spend the majority of the remaining time rushing to make a character, and I would be slowing the pace down because I'd be waiting for my opportunity to introduce that character, and it would be generally, if we let it bake for a week, we're gonna have a better session. That's the truth. That being said, we're calling it a night, everybody. If you stuck around through the break, I don't wish to disappoint you, but hopefully we'll make it all worth it next week, and we will see you then. We don't have any shoutouts tonight, so we hope you guys have a great week, great rest of your night, and we'll see you on Sunday.